One of the things that impresses me most from the center, and I believe it continues today, is this diversity of the students. We had students from all types of backgrounds, all types of interest, and it continued to grow.
The Center for Latin American Studies has always played a critical role in enhancing collaboration all over Latin America. And this collaboration enhances teaching, it enhances internships, it enhances ongoing dialogue.
The center was established under Dr. Michael Meyer in 1974, and I joined the center as associate director in 1986. During those initial years that I was there, the student body continued to grow. There was a lot of interest from students both at the graduate level and the undergraduate level.
The biggest achievement was getting Title VI for Latin American Studies and Clas for the first time in U of A's history. I realized that University of Arizona had such rich resources in Latin American studies that we would be competitive.
We were born out of the Spanish department, but the idea was to move beyond those boundaries and the silos to really serve the entire campus community. Right? So today we have 160 affiliated faculty members, right? But I believe we've probably had at least 500 faculty members over the years since our inception.
The great thing about running an interdisciplinary program is you meet people all across campus and you have an opportunity to make friends all across campus. And then we had some amazing speakers. So Rigoberto Menchú filled big lecture theatre in the Union. We filled it twice because everybody wanted to hear her.
Yo pienso que uno de los sueños más grandes que tengo en la vida es ver algún día un parlamento mixto en Guatemala. Un parlamento de...
We had Cuauhtémoc Cárdenas right after he'd run for president.
I would say a surprise for everybody was the answer, the response we found in the people all over the country. Many people, multitudes that were supporting this candidacy.
We had to bring the university down to South Tucson community because most people wouldn't come on campus because they'd feel intimidated. So we started a monthly movie fest where we had some food, we had some childcare, bringing people in to talk about issues of the day. And we started with Luis Argueta's Abuse, the Postville raids.
Around 10 o'clock this morning, immigration agents surrounded the agri-processors plant in Postville. At least 300 workers remain in federal custody tonight.
So the Clas community has always maintained a very strong commitment to social activism, which is something I think we're all extremely proud of, right? Whether it was in the 1970s during the Central American, civil wars and invasions by the United States, whether it was 1980s in the sanctuary movement, where the community and the campus really stepped up to help migrants in need, or today in the mass deportations that we're experiencing today and the separation of families. The Clas community has stepped up for 50 years to help address these really important issues at the local level, whether it's South Tucson or it's South Nogales or all the way to South America.
I wanted to capitalize on the advantage of being on the border and having students that either were from the border area or were fascinated by the political and ecological challenge of sharing border resources. I put in a proposal to the Department of Education for undergraduates to learn more about the border and to experience the border through internships and visits to the border, and beginning to open the doors for research.
You know how crucial Latin America is to us as our neighbors, as our economic partners, as our political partners, and the emphasis on partners. What the center does is allow us to share those kinds of insights with our students and the community.
The Center for Latin American Studies here at the University of Arizona is located 65 miles from the current US-Mexico border. But we're obviously in land that was once part of Mexico, and before that was indigenous peoples' lands. We have faculty and students from all over Central America, South America, you know, the entire region. And they bring those traditions and that sensibility back here to Tucson. And they foster this welcoming space and community from people from all across the Americas.
Regaining Title VI status and gaining funds that would allow us to do programming. I began by applying for a useful grant, an undergraduate international studies and foreign language grant that would focus on Brazil. We were very close and continue to be close with Spanish and Portuguese. So Portuguese has always been a very important language that we have promoted. We started the Brazil Studies initiative. We hired Antonio José Bacelar da Silva. Tonze has taken the Brazil Studies initiative to new levels, and he has been wonderful. We now have a very solid Brazil program. The federal government has done an absolutely fantastic job to today in providing centers like ours with the ability to really educate U.S. Students to become the workforce of the future, to be able to engage in global issues with Latin America.
Title VI has enabled the center to hire at least 8 tenure-track faculty members over the years, and it's created multiple staff positions that have supported over a dozen individuals. We first won the Title VI National Resource Center and FLOSS Awards in the year 2000, and we've been awarded them 5 times since then. And that translates to over $5 million in funding for outreach and events and campus activities, as well as $5 million for student fellowships alone, for the FLOSS fellowships.
We submitted another useful grant that would focus on creating a Central America studies program. We were successful in getting the grant, and Liz Oglesby, who has been our faculty that has worked on human rights in Central America, basically led the development of that program.
In the last decade, Latin American Studies averages over 100 events per year. So we've literally hosted thousands of events over the years that are free and open to the community. We've had over $1 million in funding from Tinker or matching funds, and we've supported over 600 students over that time period. Tinker scholars have gone on to amazing careers, winning Fulbright fellowships and going on to tenure-track lines, you know, at very prestigious universities around the country.
I think having Latin American studies programs with people with deep knowledge, deep connections, with language skills is really important to so many groups, to business, to national security, to global environmental change. Being in Tucson running a Latin American studies program is the strong connection to Latin America in our community.
I think one of the critical things that we need to contribute to is to change the narrative. Today there is a narrative that is so anti-immigration, that treats the other as if, you know, they were our enemies, and that is not true. are here to build linkages of solidarity, to continue to do that, and to bring forth all these amazing collaboration that has to continue because we all benefit. Latin America benefits and the US benefits.
University of Arizona is a Hispanic serving institution. Hispanic serving institutions need to have programs that look at the Latin American legacy and history and culture. And so I think it's very important for U of A to maintain Latin American studies.